Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about turntables, because for the first time in ages I have bought new vinyl for the very first time in ages, if that makes any sense. Now this turntable is a Sherwood ST-890, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, but first I gotta show you where I bought this vinyl from. And I've got the vinyl right here that I bought. Got a couple of Gordon Lightfoots here, one Cyndi Lauper, and one Roger Hodgson. Awesome album right there. But yeah, I found paradise in Calgary and I have to show it to you guys. I'm sorry, this place is just phenomenal in every single way. And I've got to spread the word somehow, so I'm going to use my channel for that. As you can see, I've got the DCM set up over there, excuse the mess. And I've got the Sony right here, the receiver. And I'm going to be doing some listening later. If this works, we got to figure that out yet. But let's go to the footage and let me show you exactly where I was and just how amazing this place is. Alright, so here's the place now. This is Turn It Up Records and Hi-Fi in Calgary. And when I tell you this place is amazing, I'm not understating it at all. You've got to park in back because that's where the parking lot is. You just go around the block, come in through the alley and park in back. And you go around the store this way. Wave to the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube guy, of course. And then the entrance is in front here. And if you want to buy used gear here, you absolutely can do that. That's part of why this place is so special. And on this particular day, they had this used CD sale going on in the front, but I didn't really spend a whole lot of time here. I didn't really find much in there that I was interested in, because I hardly ever buy CDs anymore. At least not for older music. But yeah, going inside, this is where it gets amazing. Look at this stuff. Just beautiful. And is that a Klipsch Cornwall up there? I do believe it is. It's either that or a Heresy, I'm not sure. But yeah, that's a Nakamichi tape deck right there. Sony turntable. And yeah, this place is just... This pegged my childhood interest meter immediately once I got inside here. And this is just the front room. Look at all this glorious stuff. Just anything you could possibly want here in the way of vintage electronics, they've got it. Man, I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to buy everything in this store. It's just that amazing. And this is where all the good vinyl is too, so... keep that in mind. Now, I didn't do too much flipping around in the up front room, but yeah, it just goes on and on forever in this place. You've got more vintage electronics in the back rooms, more amazing records. As you can see here, this is the jazz section. I had to, of course, check out some of the other vintage electronics they had here in case any of it was for sale. I don't believe this stuff was for sale. I think it's just there for decoration. But yeah, tucked away in the corner there's more vintage electronics for sale. And it's important to remember, even though these prices seem a little bit high, it's because they have a service department. See, these guys go through all the electronics they sell to make sure they're worth selling. So that's why you're paying a little extra here. You don't go into this place to buy Facebook Marketplace level stuff. This is where you go to buy vintage electronics that have been gone through and cleaned up. And here you can see the few cassettes they had. I was honestly a bit disappointed in their cassette selection, but cassettes aren't as big as records these days, so that's to be expected. But up here, see that little silver box? I had one of those. That's a video sound processor. It gave me a cheap way to do Dolby Surround in the days before I could afford a Pro Logic receiver. And I actually had 2 of those things. The first one failed. And I remember the sales guy at Radio Shack telling me that they've gone through a lot of them. But yeah, here there's more CDs than you can shake a stick at. More records than you can shake a stick at. And it just keeps going and going and going. Some amazing posters on the wall. But we're getting close to the mother lode here. This room. I cannot tell you how badly I wanted to stay in this room forever. And yes, that is a pair of DCM speakers. Time frames. They're not the same as the ones I bought. These are the TF400s here. And yes, those are a vintage pair of Infinity Kappa 8s back there for $2,500. But yeah, I saw these DCMs and I went right to them. They're the TF400. A little bit newer than the pair I got. A little bit different. These are kind of the pair you want if you want to do minimal maintenance on these, because they have butyl woofers instead of or butyl woofer surrounds instead of the foam that disintegrates. But yeah, this room, it was just like being a kid again, walking into Decabellos and Swift Current. It's just, you wanted to stay there forever. And I wanted to stay there forever, and I wanted to spend all of the money. And I just didn't have all of the money. Vintage pair of Sansui speakers right there. Whoever owns this place has a real eye for this stuff. Whoever owns this place, well, I gotta wonder if they're actually me reincarnated or something like that, because honestly, when I was a kid, this is the exact kind of store I wanted to run as a kid. I just dreamed about it all the time before I realized my anxiety disorder wasn't going to let me do something like that. But I would sit there and I would daydream for hours about running a store like this, where I had all this vintage gear set up and all these records, and I could just spend all of my born days there. And yeah, this is where the 45s live. You could spend hours alone in this room. And I do mean hours. Man, I want to go back here right now. It's just this room alone. And if you're looking at those speakers, besides those big Infinity Kappa 8s, those are Rega 3s, I think. They're actually sort of the bigger, older brothers of my Camber speakers in the other room. But yeah, it just goes on and on here. It's just anything you could possibly want is here. Well, except for Strange Advance, unfortunately. I couldn't find any Strange Advance here, but maybe next time. I'll look again. I will be back. You can bank on that. At the time I was here, this was the trip before I got my DCM speakers. But the second time I was there, when I was going to actually buy the DCM speakers, I knew that if I wanted to save any part of my wallet, I wouldn't be in this place again. So unfortunately, I didn't make it there for the last time. The last time I was in town, that is. I have to be here when I've got a proper budget for this. Because, yeah, I would have bought those DCM TF400s if I'd gone there the last time, instead of the TF350s I got. But the TF400s wouldn't have given me any content for the channel, because, like I said, everything in this place works. So, yeah, this is me going through the bargain basement section of the store. This is where I bought all 4 of the new vinyls I got. And this is where I'm going to be spending a lot of time the next time I go in there. I'm going to go in there with like $200 and I'm going to stack up on vinyl. Seriously. This part of the building is a gold mine. Believe me. All kinds of rare, unusual artists. It's just got everything down here. And I didn't find any vinyl that was in bad shape at all. So yeah, I will be back. You can bank on that. And I would love to meet the owner, because whoever it is, they had to have been Gen X like me in the 80s. And yeah, look at this. You can even get open reel tape here. It's amazing. It's a little expensive, but that's what you get for open reel these days. You want cheap open reel, get it off eBay and expect to get crap. Okay, so we're back at the Sherwood. Now this particular turntable is made by Fujiya Audio. And you're probably wondering how I know that. Well, I'll show you. First we got to take the mat off and the platter off. And right there, we've got the Fujiya Audio stamp on it. Sherwood used a number of different OEMs to build their turntables for them. Fujiya was one of them. I believe the most prolific one was, I think, CEC or something like that. But this particular one is Fujiya. And when it comes to turntables, this one has an advantage over most of them. Or most of the cheaper ones, I should say. In that it is a direct drive turntable. Now, turntables like this, they use a controller chip for the motor, which is, like I said, direct drive. It turns the platter directly. And it sounds like it's cycling in there for some reason. Anyhow, the direct drive motor in here has these Hall effect sensors in it that read the speed of the motor and report back to the control chip how fast the motor is going. And the control chip, in turn, has a frequency generator built into it. And the speed of the motor is then compared against the frequency generator to make sure this is running with complete stability. So, yeah, that's one big advantage of these. There's no belt drive in here, like the other turntable I had. I actually bought this along with another turntable from my favorite secondhand store as a kid, back when we ran the music store. And he had these two turntables sitting there for 30 bucks, $15 each, and I bought them both. The other one was a Clairtone. It was a little bit cooler looking than this one, at least so I thought. It had an Ortophon cartridge in it, and I used that one as my main turntable for a while, and I had sort of had this one off to the side because I thought it was boring. And quite frankly, this is the better turntable, and it always has been. But yeah, the Clairtone was a belt drive unit, and it failed. Or rather, it didn't fail. The belt kind of wore out on it, and I decided I didn't want to keep that one anymore, so I just kept this one. Now this one had problems from day one, but very minor ones. See this little piece up here? This is the piece that raises and lowers the arm. Yeah, this was broken. It had a screw in it that was too short. So what I did was I took the screw out of my, this screw out of my Sony open reel tape deck, and it turned out it was a perfect fit, and it's been golden ever since. It has worked just perfectly. So let's find out if this works or not. First I'm going to raise the tone arm here. And there has never been a time when I have fired this up and it has not worked. And apparently it is working fine now. So let's see if we can get down here into the strobe here. We got to see if the strobe's working. Let's see if we can dial it in. Right now I've got her in 33 mode. And right about there should do it. You can see off to the side here where the 33 is for 60 Hertz, and that's the one we're trying to stabilize. And it's the same way with 45. We'll go up to 45 here. Have to adjust it. Unfortunately, this is not a quartz lock direct drive turntable. And the difference between this and a quartz lock unit is the oscillator that gives you the frequency in the frequency generator. In a quartz lock model, it uses a quartz crystal to make absolutely sure the turntable never drifts off speed. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, it is kind of moving around a little bit. Not too bad though. Let's check the speed here. Where is my roll of tape I picked out here? We can use a cell phone for this. Come on, straighten up here. Kind of hard to get this exactly in the middle. Let me get my other phone here. Don't know what it's doing. I've got this little RPM app here. And right there we got it, 33.36. It's kind of moving around a bit more than I would like for a direct drive unit like this. It is fairly stable, but this is where the quartz lock stuff helps. But because this is kind of an old turntable, okay, there you've got it right there. Wow, 0.12 for 2 sigma, and RMS is 0.06%. So this is already running in par with my best tape decks. So that's plenty good enough, but we gotta figure out what's going on with the whether or not the cartridge still works. And the cartridge in this unit, I don't know if you can see it real well, probably not. That is an ADC QLM30 Mark III. Kind of on the cheaper side of cartridges, but in a unit like this, you really can't expect too much. Let me put you back on my neck mount here. This way we can talk and you can see what I'm doing, and I've got my hands free. So I'm going to turn on the Sony receiver here right quick. And this cartridge is not known to be the best in all Christendom, but it's actually got a decent reputation for a low-end cartridge like this. And it really wants a tracking force of 3 to 5 grams, but I've got this turntable set up to 1 gram, and this may not be accurate. Keep that in mind. But usually when I set these up, I don't have a scale or anything that I use. I should probably get one if I'm getting back into vinyl seriously, but usually the way I set these up is I will go the lightest tracking force possible to keep this from skipping. And 1 gram is where I had this set at last time, so that's where it was. And this is the anti-skating control here. It's always been at 0. Even back when I had the Ortofon cartridge on it from the other turntable. But yeah, I just like this one best, so it is time. We need to see whether or not this turntable works, because I want to listen to it later, and we're going to use this record right here. I'm not a big fan of Rafati organs because they sound shrill and harsh to me, but Diane's a heck of an organist. Always has been. I believe she's still active. I think she's getting on in years now. But yeah, I don't know exactly where this record came from, but this is the one we're going to use, because it's not likely to get copyright hit. And that is one dusty record. Let me get myself a microfiber cloth here, and we're just going to dust this off real quick. I'm not going to wash the record. I don't really have the chemicals or anything like that for it, because my life has always been cassettes. I've never really done much with records, so I should probably look into getting an actual half-decent cleaning kit for this. But yeah, we know the turntable is still operating with a steady speed and everything, so music for brass and organ. Let's see if this thing works and makes noise. All right. Down with the needle. Oh, and instantly it skipped. Probably because I had it set at the wrong space. Here. There's a lot of distortion. Why is there distortion? Just checking the RCAs back here. Again, this hasn't been used in a good 20 years, so heaven only knows how well it works. It could be we do indeed need to increase the tracking force on this cartridge. It also could be that I need to replace the stylus on this. I've never done that. Now, before I trust it to go all the way to the end and do the auto return, I need to make sure the auto return works with this needle in the up position so it doesn't scratch the record all to hell if it doesn't work. So let's find out. It's a little weak, I'm not going to lie, but I think we're good to actually try the auto return with an actual playing record here. It's popping in and out of stereo. I don't know why that would be. Just playing with the receiver here. Yeah, we've got a channel missing here. Right channel. So where's the right channel gone? Is it down here? Or is it inside the turntable? So yeah, it's a good thing we're checking this because something's up. And I think it's inside the turntable. At least I do believe it is. Let me dial down the Sony here and we'll swap the left and right around. Okay, let's check the Sony. It could be the receiver. Well, dang it. It's the receiver. I gotta get inside this receiver and resolder a bunch of stuff. Because the turntable's fine, it seems. So yeah, that's where we're at. The turntable works just fine, as I predicted it would. This thing has never not turned on and just worked right out of the gate. So yeah, I gotta get into the Sony receiver and try to figure out where the broken connection is. Shouldn't be too hard. I don't know if I'll do it today, and I probably will not do it in this video, so right now I'm just trying to listen to see if there's any untoward distortion or anything. Let's try a different record. How about that? See if this works. Yes, it does. Okay, for this next record, I think I'm going to drive the signal directly into a camera so you guys can listen to the full quality with me. How's that sound? I've got another one here set aside that I can use for this and should not get copyright hit, but we'll see.
Meet me at the usual place. Fleeting moments for imposing curfews. See who's made it with you again. Throw some light upon a sordid detail. Female with your feline eyes and hair dyes and white lies. I've seen you in a familiar place. The waiting game. Risque small talk in the usual place. The parking's free. With adults, with grown-ups, whoever they are. The pleasure was ours. Cream of the crop and such a pretty face. But it's only the surface. Light short, I heard today. The film is running through. The waiting game. The waiting game.
So, thoughts on the old Sherwood now that we've heard it play. In case you're wondering, it's one of my newer app control lights that we're doing the pinkish purplish light on this. But anyhow, my thoughts are, as expected, the Sherwood is working perfectly. Can't say the same for the Sony receiver, but I got it going well enough to use, at least for temporary purposes. Now, the fact that the Sherwood is working fine doesn't mean I'm happy with it. Well, I am happy with it, but what I'm not happy about is the condition of the cartridge on there. Or rather, not the cartridge, but the stylus. I think the stylus needs to be replaced. I'm really not happy with the way that sounded through the DCMs. So I'm probably going to, if I ever continue to use this particular turntable, is I'll get a new stylus for it. For now, this is going to have to do, because it's all I've got, but yeah, the turntable itself is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's decent quality. It's getting the job done. It's as rock solid reliable as it ever was, and it's always been rock solid reliable. But yeah, I did end up increasing the tracking force to 2 grams on the little gauge here, and that helped a little bit, but yeah, I just would like a better stylus on this is all. I think what I will do, if I ever end up doing vinyl more seriously, is I'm just going to go ahead and buy a new turntable. There's nothing wrong with this one, don't get me wrong. It's just, if I'm getting a serious turntable for serious listening, I want something a little better than this. Even though this is direct drive, using frequency generation, I'm really not that happy with the suspension in this thing. It doesn't really do a very good job of damping vibrations, so if you so much as touch this table while this thing's running, it skips. And I want something a little better than that. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this. If I'm going to use this permanently for vinyl, I want a new stylus on there, and I will probably do that anyway, but yeah, these days you can get a decent quality quartz lock turntable for about $500 or so, and since I've got the money these days, that's kind of a no-brainer. This one's great. I will keep it around. I will never get rid of this, but yeah, we can do better these days, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm so glad I kept the 45 adapter for this thing too, because I would have been screwed without that. Used to have a bunch of those temporary ones that you threw in the center of these things, but not anymore. But yeah, this'll do for now. It's all I've got, so might as well use it. Anyway, that's going to be it for today, guys. Take care.